kid. We never go in those neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do
That was a scene from the courtroom from this morning as Peyton Gendron, that Buffalo shooter who went into that Tops grocery store and shot as many black people as he could see and find. The sentencing hearing then was happening, where he then, of course, got consecutive life sentences for those 10 individuals that he killed. As you saw, one family member of one of those victims was trying to take matters into his own hands. Didn't get all that close before 25 to 30 cops jumped on him and whisked young Peyton away. While this was happening, victim statements were being read. But one more time, I want you guys to see the way that this went down. We zoomed in a little bit on this, and also how he put a swim move on the woman that was telling her impact statement, and also how quickly and how prepared many of these officers were for this particular situation. Watch one more time.
Take people out. Don't do it.
Head down, whisked away. I understand you can't have fights breaking out in courtrooms. We've seen these types of scenes before, but they were definitely prepared because they knew the general gravity of this entire situation and the emotions that were running high. Speaking of those emotions, as I mentioned, Barbara Massey was standing there telling Peyton Gendron to his face who her sister was that he murdered, all that was about her. And that's what I really want to focus on as well, because everyone saw the video of that. Of the charging at Peyton there. As a matter of fact, before we get to that second part about it, because this is an important aspect of what it is that happened here, Sharon. That family member, which I never really got his name, and we don't need to at this point, was probably acting out in the ways that many of us would as well. And I saw many of the comments saying that, but also that let him go and let's go ahead and let that happen. It's a human reaction, and I can totally understand it. Some of your thoughts here.
I think that it's tough, right? Because people say don't condone violence. Everybody's doing whatever they want to do. Everybody's doing whatever they want to do. And so when you have a family member who has this release, this outburst, why not make it make sense? I don't want to even think how I would be in those shoes. And I don't want to take anything away from people who, there's some of the family members who said, we're praying for you with the Bible. They quoted the verses, all of that. And I don't want to comment on how they grieve and how they approach this process because I'm not in their shoes. But at the end of the day, it does seem like there's a free for all on Black people. It does. And at a certain point, the slow singing and flower bringing isn't enough.
Especially when we see some of the results of those things and responses that people get, and the pushback that comes from any kind of change in our societies, our approach to how we deem people, and actually laws surrounding this stuff, and the way our politicians take in those types of things. This is why I wanted to include this part of this impact statement from Barbara Massey, whose sister Catherine was killed by this monster here back last summer. I believe it was in May, and she spoke for a while. I wanted to give almost everything that she had to say. I want you guys to see it. I want you guys to feel it. I want you to understand this is the voice of so many people who have been victims and families of victims of this type of violence. Watch Barbara.
You killed my sister. Kat, I'm gonna tell you about my sister, Kat. Kat weighed 110 pounds, 72 years old. Kat would do anything for anybody, anytime. Kat was intelligent. She was a teacher. She was my best friend. She was anything at any given time. Kat was a protector. If Kat saw you, she probably went in her pocket and gave you some money, even though you didn't need it. Kat was an aunt. She was a great aunt. She was a cousin. She was a friend. Kat said she was a committee of one. There's nothing Kat wouldn't do for people. I want personally to choke you and leave my fingerprints on your neck because it was unnecessary. I talk to Kat every single day. You don't make Kat happy, kids. Kat didn't have any children, but she said she had 34,000. That was the number of kids in school. Kat had so many children, our mind went boom with her own money. There's nothing Kat would do for anybody. You know what made Kat happy? Us cutting grass that we don't even own. That made my sister happy. That's what I was doing when you killed Kat. I was doing her lawn. You have made me sick. You got my family crying. I miss my sister every day. I live 3 doors down from Kat. I talk to Kat 4 times a day. My brother Ward goes up there and sit in the park with Kat like to be. My son called Kat triple black because she was so proud of her heritage. My nephew said Kat was a saint among sinners. My sister Catherine Ashley was a great person. Kat didn't hurt anybody.
So as the court was listening during this sentencing hearing, I wonder if they heard her. She was speaking about her sister, who she was, what she was about, what she loved to do, and what she was doing at the time when this guy went in there and decided to murder her, because she existed. That's the whole reason behind it. And you see police officers start to position themselves because emotions were starting to run a little bit high. And you know what? And she had a few more words to say to Peyton and to any of these bigots who think that the best way to go about their hatred and their anger is to murder people for just living. This is the crux of everything else that she had to say. Listen closely.
You leave 200 miles to come to Buffalo. You don't even know any black people. 95.7, that's what they said for the census in your time. You don't know an Indian, a Mexican, nobody. Your little punk ass decided to come and kill my sister. I was there 8 hours with my family, begging the cops, is my sister okay? You blew off her back of her head, man. You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people. Man, you don't know a damn thing about black people. We're human. We like our kids to go to good schools. We love our kids. We never go in no neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it.
I've watched it about 7 times today, man, and it gets me every time. The fact that the most basic thing about humanity and in this country is you have to tell someone else in an entire courtroom, we are human. We love our children. We want them to go to good schools. We want them to be successful. We like everything about our lives. We don't come to other folks' neighborhoods because of who you are and your existence and go to murdering them because of some stuff we decided to read online or listen to on some cable news network. That's why we fight these battles every day. That's why we talk about Tucker Carlson's ass. That's why we talk about the Bill O'Reillys of the world. That's why we talk about the politicians like Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and the rest of these idiots that gloss over the lives of people when they are murdered by racists like him and cops like the ones that are surrounding him. I'm not indicting these particular cops there, but there's so many that do these things, and afterwards they go, well, what was he doing wrong? He was effing existing. And these 10 folks that Peyton Gendron decided to murder on that day were just existing in the grocery store. He traveled a couple of hours to find them just to murder them because someone told him he is better than them. I hope you heard the impact statement. I hope you guys heard the impact statement. And I hope next time someone says, my life matters, when you think to fix your effing lips and say all lives matter, we say it every day. We do. Do you? And do you act that way when we see these types of impacts on these people's families? You don't have to be a murderer to understand where she's coming from and to understand how you maybe contribute to that kind of mindset that permeates people like Peyton Gendron.
Yes. Confronted with the truth. That was so powerful. And everything you said times 10. You know, you have this sister, the remaining sister, who's confronting a lie. It's like truth versus lie. Not about politics, it's about life. And for her to have to utter those words, just basic principles, because there's this portrayal of black people that's been allowed to live and breathe and permeate, and it's all a lie. She had to just say basic alphabetic things. And that's the rub. I hate that this whole thing, I understand it's the victims who get to finally say their piece, and God bless them. But I'm gonna tell you something. I hate that this whole thing was centered around this rabid dog. Just so sick. We can't stomach you in society any longer. You crave the lie, and you crave it so much you'll kill for it. It turns my stomach. I feel her pain, never the way those families do, but it has just got to stop. Make it stop.
And members of our society need to realize the role that you play in it, that you perpetuate it, that you push it, that you say, what were you doing wrong, and all these types of things. That allows other folks to hear to go, oh, society doesn't care about these folks, and then they will act on it, thinking society won't care about these folks, because in many cases afterwards they don't. That's an indictment of our entire society. That people like Peyton have told us, this is what I think our country is. He told you, not me.